Libra, and welcome to Wild Magnolia Tarot. My name is Maddie, and this is going to be your weekly reading for whenever you see this video. From now on, all my weeklies will be timeless, so whenever you come across this video is probably when it's right for you if it resonates. Quick disclaimers, this is a general reading and cannot possibly resonate with everyone, so please take what does resonate and leave what does not. And if none of it resonates, then maybe this one is not for you. That's okay. You can check out one of the readings for one of your other signs, sun, moon, rising, etc. Or you can go check out some of the many talented, brilliant readers on this platform who may have something more attuned to your situation this week. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a doctor, lawyer, physician, counselor, therapist, financial expert, etc. I am just a girl with a passion for the tarot. And anything that I say, resembling advice, is based solely on my own opinion, my knowledge and experiences, my interpretations of the cards, and any other little bits and pieces that may occur to me intuitively throughout this reading. If this does resonate, if you do end up enjoying this reading, please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you can get notified when I upload videos in the future. And if you have any suggestions or requests for types of readings that you'd like to see me do on my channel, themed readings, pick a cards, etc., feel free to leave that in a comment so that I can see your suggestions and implement them in future videos. So with all that out of the way, we'll go ahead and we'll get started with archetype cards as usual. I decided to use both archetype decks this week for giggles. We're starting out with Companion, light attributes, loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness, or also known as selflessness. Shadow attributes, betrayal by misusing confidences, loss of personal identity. Okay, so this may have something to do with a relationship for you guys this week. It does not have to be romantic. It can be a best friend, it can be a family member, but someone that you might consider to be a companion in your life. Okay, the next card that we have is the Sword. This has a lot to do with making decisions or making judgments on a situation in your life. Judgment sounds like a harsh word, but if you were to compare this card to the tarot, it would be very similar to the Judgment card. Taking stock of all the information available to you in your situation and making the appropriate decision based on the facts, based on what you know to be true. All right, so far, there's the implication that there is some kind of major decision that you need to make about a relationship that you're in, the role you play in that relationship, whether or not it's balanced and fair. Okay, if there is an equal amount of give and take in that relationship. These are going to be major themes in this reading. We, next, for some theme cards that I pulled, we have Karma. And at the bottom there it says domino effects. Okay, the idea that one decision leads to the next, leads to the next. It's about consequences, it's about reward. This can be karma from past lives, this can be karma from this life. But it could also indicate, considering the other cards that we have on the table, that the relationship that you're in would be considered a karmic relationship, which, to the best of my understanding, or the best way that I know how to explain it, this is a relationship that we have with someone else in our lives that has taken place or come together in order to teach us important lessons. So, not necessarily a soulmate or anything of that nature, although it could be, but there's either some kind of karma, some kind of energy that needs to be balanced out in this relationship or through this relationship. Yes, I think that's what it is. Because we have the Sword, there's this decision that needs to be made. There's something that needs to be, potentially a wrong that needs to be righted here, alright? And this is a lesson that has been learned in this relationship. And now there's this karma that needs to be balanced. The next card we have, and this is from the Elemental Oracle deck, is Time. See if we can get my camera to focus on it. There we go. Okay, Time, and above it says Discipline. Okay, so this has a lot to do with how you spend your time. Do you use it wisely? Is time running out for you? Do you need more time? Okay, but also it could potentially bring up the question of, is it time to X? Is it time to Y? Is it time to move on? Is it time to take the next step in a relationship? These are the questions that come up in my mind when I see that card in relation to the other cards on the table. An important time is approaching in terms of this relationship, this companionship that you are a part of. And it is time to decide. It's time to decide how this relationship develops, if it continues on at all. Okay? And it's time to make that decision based on facts, based on reality, the truth of the situation, not your hopes and dreams necessarily. Okay? Not necessarily just considering your emotions, your feelings about the situation, or, your desires, but based on the truth of the situation, where it's leading you, and whether or not that's right for you at this time, whether or not it's aligned with you authentically as a person, or your path, the path that you want to take in your life in general outside of that relationship. Okay, so I'm going to go on and move on to the Memento Mori deck, and this is an oracle deck that I use to give me an idea of what the main situation is, or maybe like the guts of the situation that you're going to be dealing with this week. The most important factors or concepts that you're going to be dealing with, and potentially give you some advice on how to make the best decision for you. So the first card to come out is the Puppet. Okay, so the Puppet could indicate manipulation to a certain degree, because the puppet is something that is created and used to play with back in those days, because this is based on older imagery, things of that nature. So when I see the puppet, I see somebody who is very passive, potentially someone who is easily manipulated, easily taken advantage of because they want to please. Okay? If you are someone who wants to be the perfect companion, or wants to be very giving and understanding and flexible in a relationship, this card brings up the question of whether or not it's going too far, and whether or not the situation is fair for you. We could go on the other side of that and say that perhaps if you are the more dominant person in your relationship, if you are being fair to your partner or the other individual, whether or not there is an equal exchange of energy, love, affection, time, things of that nature, resources as well. This can also play out on that earthly realm of like, is there an equal exchange of resources, or is there an unhealthy codependency at play? Let's pull another card to see if we can get a little more information about this puppet, what this puppet might be referring to. And we have the tear catcher. Okay, so this does indicate some sadness, some sorrow, some very heavy emotions. So this could potentially be a situation or a relationship that has caused you an amount of stress, anxiety, or just sadness, something that is hurting your heart. It may be that the relationship is just not working anymore. Okay, perhaps, especially if this is a karmic relationship, if the lessons that you were meant to learn through this relationship, if you have learned those lessons, then it may be time for some of you guys to move on. That is something to consider. If you are being hurt or potentially abused or mistreated or taken advantage of in this relationship, that's something that you have to be honest with yourself about as well. Especially if it is with someone who is potentially somewhat manipulative, or I guess selfish would be the right word. And the thing here is that this is an issue that's not black and white, okay? It's not a matter of good or evil. Sometimes, as human beings, we all have the potential to be bad at relationships, or to be unfair in a relationship, to take a little too much, to give a little too much, without asking for, equality in return. So when I say what I'm saying here, I am in no way accusing anybody of anything. I'm not judging anybody for anything. Okay? You can be in a relationship that is unfair and unbalanced, that you are being taken advantage of in, without the other person being bad or evil or malicious. Okay? Sometimes when two unhealthy people with unhealthy concepts of what a relationship is come together, then they build an unhealthy relationship, and healing has to occur for both parties involved. So I just wanted to make that clear. I wanted to say that real quick so that you get a feel for where I'm coming from. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, and I don't want to leave you with the impression that if this does resonate with you, that the person you're dealing with is a bad person. It's just that this does seem to outline a relationship that is not quite healthy, or that has served its purpose, I suppose. As a teacher in your life, it has served the purpose of bringing you wisdom, and it may be time to move on, because otherwise dragging it on may bring in a lot of unnecessary negativity. It may also hold each party back as well in their own development. Okay, let's see what else we've got for you guys. So we have the lantern. Okay, I see this as a guiding light. The lantern shows the way. It is a tool that you can use to navigate the path of life on your journey. This could be in the form of a person who comes into your life to give you some helpful advice, or it could be in the form of new information or new insight that you gain that offers you a fresh perspective on your current situation. So this could be a person, this could be a reading that you watch online, this could be a book that you read about relationships and relationship dynamics. It could even be a dream, a very deep and vivid dream that you may have that brings your attention to some things that you may not have been consciously aware of before. But the lantern is something that kind of lights the way for you, that gives you the insight that you need to make the right decision for you in this situation. And I will clarify that. I'll come back when I pull the tarot cards out to get a little more information on what that lantern might be specifically for you. But as this is a general reading, it'll be hard to get too deep into specifics, because these things play out differently for different people, right? We can all exist in very similar energies and generally experience similar situations that play out much differently when it gets down to the fine details. So, okay, I'm going to pull one more card from this deck. Perhaps that could clarify the lantern a little bit more. Or another facet of the situation that you need to be aware of. Any additional insight that can be useful. Okay, so we have the coins. The coins are about money, wealth, resources, earthly things, the material. So we do have this element now here of money being a factor. So it's possible that you are suffering financially from this situation, or maybe not suffering financially, but there may be financial motivations for one party or another in this relationship that create the imbalance, okay, where somebody's in it to be loving, right? So going back to the companion card, light attributes, loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. So I see here the possibility that one partner or one individual in this relationship, because it does not have to be romantic, this can be familial, this can be just a friendship, this could even be a business partnership, okay? Any type of relationship. I see here where one person is that loyal, tenacious, and selfless friend or partner or whatever, who is willing to give whatever is necessary out of love and respect, because they want to see the other person be happy and fulfilled and successful. Okay, and sometimes it can be to keep the peace. Sometimes it's out of a sense or a feeling of obligation, whether or not that is necessarily rational. It is still, it happens a lot where we give and we give and we give because we feel obligated to give because of the nature of the relationship. But it seems like there's an imbalance in terms of money. For the coins to come out after the lantern, you may notice something, notice an imbalance when it comes to money. Perhaps it becomes clear to you that you're giving a lot more than you're receiving. For some of you guys, and this is not going to be very many of you, I get the sense that this may only be 1 or 2 people, but you may even notice that money has gone missing, okay? Or to put it less lightly, that money has been stolen from you. And some of you guys may feel that you're being used for money or resources, right? Maybe somebody's, using their friendship to mooch off of you. I don't know why I'm trying to be so soft and nice. I don't know. There's a possibility that you're being used here, and it might be for money. And it could be a situation where, even if you recognize that that's happening, you're like, oh, well, they're going through a rough time. They come from a rough background. They don't have a lot. They don't have anyone else to depend on. I'm their only friend. I'm the only one who can help them, and they're struggling to get on their feet, and etc., etc., etc. But eventually, we're all responsible for ourselves. And we're all capable at some point of getting on our own 2 feet and taking care of our own shit. So if you're dealing with someone who just can't seem to get themselves together, who always seems to need your help, then you have to start to wonder how much effort they're putting in and if it is equal to the amount of effort and resources that you are putting into this relationship. Regardless of what their circumstances may be, there should always be an equal exchange within a relationship, a friendship, even a familial relationship. You are not obligated to support somebody else indefinitely without there being that equal exchange, simply out of, them being family, or them being your best friend, or because you knew them for 15 years. It doesn't matter. If the relationship is imbalanced in any way, and this is a theme or a cycle that you see, a pattern that you see emerging within this relationship, then I think that what the cards are telling us today is that it is time. It's time to put this to an end. It's time to recognize those patterns, and it's time to stand up for yourself. Set things straight. And if some of you who are watching, if you are that person who struggles to get on their feet, and if you find yourself asking for help a lot from somebody when you know that there are opportunities that you passed up on or that you didn't put as much effort into as you tried, then, it's time to buck up. It's time to start doing the hard work. It's time to start giving back in any way that you can. It's time to be independent and break this cycle of codependency, because it's just not healthy for either individual involved. And again, I am saying this from a place of love, no judgment. None at all. We all get stuck in unhealthy cycles in our lives. Different kinds. There's a million different kinds of unhealthy cycles, unhealthy behaviors that we get caught up in and that slowly begin to take over our lives. This is about reestablishing balance, creating stability in our own lives for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and honoring and respecting ourselves and our boundaries, as well as the boundaries of others. So, I'll step back off my soapbox long enough to shuffle some tarot cards, and we will clarify the puppet. Okay, so we have the 5 of coins here. So more coins. Five of Coins has a lot to do with financial hardship, but also lack consciousness, a feeling of lack, and you can have a feeling of lack without there actually being a lack issue. It has a lot to do with feeling like you never have enough, feeling like you need more, being in a mindset where you're worried about potentially not having enough. But because we have it coming out underneath the puppet, this to me does confirm that there is an unhealthy dynamic in this relationship in regards to money, where basically someone here is being used for money. Okay? Or there's like the way one party views the other is that, you know, you're I'm just going to pick sides for a minute. Let's say that you're the person who's being used. Then this other individual kind of sees you as being more of a resource than a friend or, you know, a companion. And whether they're like openly conscious about that or like totally aware of the way that they're treating you isn't so much the issue as much as it is that, you know, once you recognize the pattern, you have to put an end to it. You cannot allow it to happen. It's not fair to you. And quite frankly, it's not fair to them either, because to continue to engage in that cycle is to enable bad behavior and potentially enabling someone to not try their hardest. If you believe in the other person that they are capable of taking care of themselves, that they are capable of providing for themselves, and if you believe that at their core they are a good person who has lost faith in their own abilities, then you would do them a huge favor by putting up those boundaries, you know, and helping to guide them towards becoming more self-sufficient. It's painful. It's not easy. And that is exemplified by the Tear Catcher card, that this is not an easy situation. But they're not doing you any favors by using you for money, and you're not doing them any favors or yourself by allowing it to continue once you recognize that there's an issue. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a card and I'm going to clarify the Tear Catcher. Good grief, y'all. I look at the clock and it's already 22 minutes in. I feel like I just started. Okay, so with the Tear Catcher, we have the King of Cups in reverse. This is somebody who struggles to maintain emotional balance, potentially. Someone who may not have good control over their own emotions, or it could just be somebody who's not good with emotion, or somebody who is overly emotional and making emotional decisions that are irrational or harmful to themselves. So there may be some emotional issues on your end that you have to work on, that you have to face. And these could potentially be the root of your part of continuing this cycle. That may have sounded a little confusing. I'm going to try to think of a different way to say that. There could be insecurities on your part, where because of a feeling of, you know, need for this connection, or maybe a fear of losing this connection, that you would rather enable the behavior than put your foot down out of a fear of losing somebody, out of fear of losing a friend, or, you know, losing a connection to a family member if it's somebody in your family, or potentially harming a romantic relationship, however this plays out in your life. But because that King of Cups is in reverse, then it is irrational at the core of it. And it is coming from some kind of emotional insecurity within yourself that you need to address, and that you need to work on by yourself. Because what you're doing is you're kind of putting a Band-Aid over some kind of emotional hurt or trauma, potentially something from the past. Most insecurities come from childhood, continuing to engage in this relationship knowing that it hurts you or knowing that it's not what it should be. You know, this is a way of kind of soothing yourself and avoiding facing those insecurities, or even a fear of being alone, a fear of not having this relationship as a part of your life. But as I've already said, it's still an unhealthy relationship. It still does you no favors. And it doesn't really teach you anything. It doesn't teach the other person anything either. And I think the goal always at the end of the day is to learn and grow. I mean, really, that is all that life is about. Learning, growing, eventually finding happiness and stability, you know, finding meaning. These are like the major themes of life in general. But right now you're just kind of stagnant. You're stuck in a situation that doesn't serve you, that is unbalanced and unhealthy. And it seems to be some kind of emotional insecurity or fear that keeps you there. So that's also what's going to make it very difficult for you to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Assertive. It's going to make it difficult for you to be assertive when it comes time to stand up for yourself and lay down boundaries, basically. And that's something that you need to work on personally within yourself. Therapy is always really good for these kinds of things as well. I definitely recommend it. 10 out of 10. I do it. And if you think that you would benefit from it, I recommend it. I'm not a doctor, though. This is just my opinion. Okay, so now I'm going to clarify the lantern. Let's see what this lantern might be referring to for you guys. If it's a person, if it's some sort of specific insight or advice. Sometimes the lantern can just make us aware of potential possibilities, paths that are open for us to take. And they also show us which paths may not be good to take. All right, so we have the Lovers, and we have the Lovers in reverse. And the Lovers is all about, it can be about passions, okay? It can be about love in general. But a lot of it has to do with balance. In the traditional tarot, the Lovers card has two individuals on it. The Lovers card can also represent Gemini, the sign of Gemini, if you're dealing with Gemini. But with it being in reverse here, this lantern, whatever this lantern might be for you in your life, this is shining light on the imbalance of love. I think it's of love. I think that one person is more loving than the other. One person loves the other more than they are loved back. That's why it's in reverse, in my opinion. And this is another painful truth to reconcile with. Okay, because nobody wants to feel like they're not loved the way that they should be. And let me tell you that you should be loved as hard as you love. And if that balance doesn't exist, it has nothing to do with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not because you're worth less. It is a deficit in the other party, in their psyche, in their emotional development that leads to this issue, okay? It's basically what I'm saying is it's a them problem. It's not a you problem. It is a them problem. But this lantern, whatever it may be, insight or, you know, somebody else's perspective or just a new fresh perspective, shines light on this imbalance. It could be something that is said by that person to you, or something that you notice, or something that you learn about this individual, about something that they may have done or said in the past, that really does shine light on the fact that the relationship isn't what you thought it was. It isn't what it should be. That you are not being loved and respected the way that you should be. And then after that, it's up to you to make a decision what you do with that. Okay. As a human being who is not a doctor or a therapist, if you were my friend, I would tell you to cut them off, basically. You don't have to cut them out of your life forever, but, you know, putting up boundaries and not allowing them to take anything else from you when they have no intention of, you know, giving anything back in return. What's best for you is going to be to kind of protect yourself. Create some distance there. Okay? Set rules. You know, if I'm going to treat you with love and compassion and respect, if I am going to give to you freely, then I expect that in return. Okay? That's what creates an equal and balanced relationship. I do unfortunately have a feeling here, and this is just my gut talking, that you may find that the other person's not willing to do that for you. They may not be capable, but that doesn't mean that you're obligated to stick with it just because you feel like they can't meet their end of the deal. Sometimes, with some people, we just have to hold them at arm's length to protect ourselves. And that is perfectly okay, perfectly reasonable, perfectly fair. Okay, so now I'm just going to clarify the coins. Okay, and we have the Page of Cups to clarify the coins. So, the Page of Cups being in reverse speaks of immaturity to me, emotional immaturity. And this can also, I think it's interesting how we have 2 Cups cards that are court cards that are in reverse. Both of them in reverse. And then we have the Lovers card in reverse as well. You may be dealing with somebody who is very immature. For whatever reason. They have not grown up. They're not on your level. And when you put your foot down, they may act like children. And respond like children. And make unfair demands or throw a fit. My advice to you in that kind of situation is to stand your ground and to stay strong and to recognize that you may very well be dealing with a child here. And regardless of that, you need to do what's best for you. Okay, because this is not a child that you're dealing with. There are cards in this deck that signify children, and none of those are on the table. You're not dealing with a child. You're dealing with an adult. You're dealing with someone who should be your equal. You should not have to take care of them. You should not be their support system, you know, without it being reciprocated. Page of Cups in reverse is somebody who's emotionally immature. Someone who may respond to you with moodiness or just in a childish fashion. And it's going to be when you cut them off financially. That's when you're going to get the biggest reaction. Okay, that's when they throw a fit, is when they realize that they're not going to gain anything from you in the material. And honestly, I mean, if that's what occurs in your situation, if that's what happens, then you've got it right there. That's when you know the root of the situation. You understand the basis of their relationship with you. And while it might be very painful to realize that is the truth, you can also take a little comfort in knowing that you're doing the right thing for yourself by putting an end to it and no longer allowing another person to use you and drain you when you don't deserve that. You don't deserve it at all, and you don't owe it to them. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to pull a few cards from the Dreams of Gaia Tarot deck, and these are new cards that I just got, and they're very different from regular tarot cards, so my interpretations of these cards may be a little bit lackluster, and I apologize in advance, but I have to use them to learn them. It's just kind of how I work. Like, I can read the book cover to cover, and it's not gonna stick if I don't, use them and apply the information. So, that was just a little forewarning. They're beautiful cards, though. And the focus of this deck is very much on growth and healing and being able to navigate and understand your own journey, your own emotions, and how they affect you and how they play into your situation. So I find them very useful, especially in a reading like this, where this is a very emotional topic for you. Okay, so the first card we have is knowledge. Knowledge, information. Information is power. Knowledge is power. I'm just reciting shit that I heard when I was 10. What this card tells me here, it really is just confirmation that this is a learning experience for you. It also tells me that you are very intelligent. You are wise. You have experienced a lot, and you've learned a lot in your life. And I think that, honestly, you're probably not too surprised by anything you've heard in this reading. If this reading resonates with you, you already had a feeling. You already knew what was going on. You just didn't necessarily spend too much time dwelling on it. But you've learned a lot through this situation specifically. And this has all occurred to teach you this lesson, right? You might hear it a lot if you watch a lot of these readings. Nothing happens to you. It happens for you. It happens to teach you. It happens to evolve you. This card could also indicate that it may benefit you to educate yourself on topics related to your specific situation. So for those of you who may be dealing with someone who may be a bit of a narcissist, or somebody who may have some type of personality disorder. Again, not a doctor, not diagnosing. I'm just saying, if that's the case, then it may be helpful for you to educate yourself on those issues, how they present in reality, and how you can deal with the situation in a way that is helpful and productive. Okay? And I said narcissist specifically because in some situations where you have this unequal relationship where somebody is using the other person, it's, as I said in the beginning, it's not always because they're a bad person. It's not always because they're evil. They may just be stuck in an unhealthy cycle. However, in some instances, you might be dealing with a narcissist. You might be dealing with someone who is actually very manipulative and deceptive. And if that's the case, it's always good to arm yourself with as much knowledge as possible on those type of disorders, that type of behavior, in order to navigate the situation in such a way that causes the least damage to your life, okay? I don't know how much more I want to go into that because, again, I'm not here to diagnose anybody with anything. Obviously, I am not a doctor, but the knowledge card makes me think that you might benefit from reading up on similar situations to the one that you're in if you don't know how to approach the issue, or if for any reason you are afraid to approach the issue the wrong way. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to pull just a couple more cards from this deck. So we have the Desire card. This is very similar to the Devil card in the Tarot. Okay, desire is not always bad, but it can sometimes drive us to make the wrong decision for ourselves, or a decision that may be harmful to us because our wants get in the way of our needs. And so this is twofold. This kind of goes back to that King of Cups in reversed. Is your desire for this connection overpowering your need to protect yourself and set boundaries? And then on the other hand, is this other person's desire to continue to use you overpower the need to give equally in the relationship and respect your boundaries? it can also indicate that your desires clash with their desires. What you want, it's like a battle of the wills kind of situation, where what you want is companionship, friendship, a loving connection between two people. But what they want is an easy ride. What they want is financial security. You know what I mean? Desire also has a lot to do with temptation or desires that we have. It can also refer to bad habits as well. Bad habits that we have that hold us back, that bind us, that almost imprison us in a way in these unhealthy cycles that keep us stuck, that don't allow us to move forward. So if you feel that there are certain emotional issues or desires or bad habits or temptations within your life that keep you in this situation, it is definitely time to address that within yourself. This card can also sometimes reference things like addiction as well. Addiction could play a role in this, especially for the other individual who seems to not be contributing equally to the relationship. They may be somebody who has addiction issues, and this would really only come up to clarify for those who resonate with this, who they might be dealing with. But yeah, addiction, and it could be any kind of addiction: drug addiction, alcohol, sex, gambling, anything. There's so many different types of addictions or bad habits that people have that keep them in a bad cycle. You want to make sure, if this is the case, that you're not getting dragged into that kind of situation, and also that you are not enabling it as well. You don't have to take an active part in putting a stop to it. You don't have to save this person from themselves. You just have to make sure that you're not making it easier for them to continue down that path. So, I'll pull one more card from this deck, and then we'll move on to the bones cards. Ow, my hair. My hair gets caught up in my zipper, and then it yanks on it. It pulls it right out of my head. Okay. I keep bumping my camera. I do apologize if that's a little jarring. Okay. And then we have love. Love is what you hope for. Love is what you desire. Love is what you need. And love is what you're showing to yourself when you set boundaries, appropriate boundaries, in any and all relationships that you have in your life. I think this card is also calling you to love yourself, to take care of yourself, to show yourself the love that you need and that you deserve. Okay? And also to invest in relationships that are based on actual, unconditional, selfless love. There are other people in your life who love you as much as you love them, and who are there to support you and to be there for you, without respect or expecting anything in return. People who respect your boundaries, people who love you not for what they can get out of you, but simply because they love you for who you are. And you know, there's that connection there. These are the relationships you should invest in. These are the relationships that are worth your time, your energy, and your resources. Okay, these are the relationships that you focus on. That's what I get from that card specifically. So now I'll pull a couple cards from the Flowers from the Dead Oracle, and I just really like that concept that, you know, things die, and then they dissolve back into the earth, and then flowers grow up in those spots where those things died. It might end up, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's a beautiful deck, and I use it to help shine light on anything that you might focus on, or anything that you might need to be aware of as you move through a transitional phase. And I've been using this deck this week because a lot of people are going through some sort of transition right now. Things are crazy. Every reading has been really intense. This week, okay, now we have the armadillo. What have I been saying this whole time? Boundaries. Setting boundaries. Boundaries for yourself. Boundaries for others, boundaries in relationships that are unequal, boundaries in relationships that are equal. If it is an equal, loving, and, unconditionally loving, compassionate relationship, then they're going to respect you for putting boundaries down, okay? Set boundaries for yourself. Protect yourself. It is more than fair. It is to be expected. Next we have the Crow, Mystery and Magic. This card to me is really related to the concept of faith. There is another card in here that I think says faith on it. But when I see Mystery and Magic, actually also manifestation is something that goes along with that very well. There is a potential here that once you make these small changes, such as laying down boundaries, and protecting yourself within your relationships, that it leaves room for you to manifest something new in your life, potentially to manifest healthier relationships, period. I'll want to go back and clarify that in a moment, but I'll pull one more card from this deck. Mystery and Magic. Okay, so we actually had two come out at the same time. First was the Horse, Travel and Stamina. And then after that is Spontaneous, the Rabbit. So we have Mystery, Magic, Travel, Stamina, and Spontaneous. Perhaps you will have an opportunity to travel or to go on some sort of adventure in the near future, maybe even this week. It may be something that pops up spontaneously. And because of the context of the reading, I almost get the sense that it's something that you would not feel like you could do or take advantage of if you were still trapped in this unhealthy relationship dynamic. For some reason, setting these boundaries for yourself sets you free to travel, to spend your time and your money as you like, to go on adventures, to broaden your horizons, to see the world. And that makes a lot more sense with that Mystery and Magic card, because to me, Mystery and Magic are obviously directly related to adventure and travel and exploration. Okay? I'm going to read these pretty literally for now. I think that some of you guys may get an opportunity to travel, or to do something for yourself, or to go on some kind of adventure. This opportunity may pop up spontaneously, out of the blue, unexpectedly. And this may, lead to a lot of very important experiences in your life. That's where the mystery and the magic is. That now that you're free from this, this unfair obligation, okay, now you feel free to do whatever you want. Again, with your time, with your money. Maybe you go on this adventure and it leads you down a path that opens up a whole lot of new doors for you and your future. The possibilities are endless here. But if you do get the opportunity or an offer of travel or adventure, definitely consider it, because the cards are pointing it out in this reading right now. And there could be a lot to learn from that experience for you in a positive way. And it may very well bring something new and very positive and transformative into your life. And because it's mysterious, that's all I really know. So keep your eyes open. That might be a thing. That might be a thing in your near future. Alrighty. Now I'm going to pull some animal cards. This is the Terra Oracle. And these cards, each animal has a trait or a characteristic that's associated with the animal in these cards, and so it's either going to be a trait or a characteristic that you may have within yourself that you need to be aware of, that you need to pay attention to, or potentially that you need to strengthen. Or it could be a characteristic of our animal friends that you might adopt in order to help you in your situation specifically. So let's see what our animal guides have for you guys. First, we have the Hermit. Sanctuary. Okay. Take some time for yourself. If you can, chill at home for a couple days. Spend some time relaxing. Doing like physical self-care things. But also, you know, surround yourself with people that love you, with people that you love, in a comfortable and safe environment where you can recuperate and recover, especially if, you know, for some of you guys, you're going to be putting it into a relationship that may have been ongoing for a long time, and it will be emotionally stressful. And in that case, you're definitely going to want to take some time for yourself to reflect, to reset, to come to terms with the reality, and to be able to start thinking ahead into the future of what's possible for you now, okay? You definitely need to take time for emotional self-care as well. All right, what else do we have here for you guys? What do we have for Libra? We have the Walrus. Vulnerability. Vulnerability is a strength, okay? To be vulnerable is to have an open heart. It is to be open to new experiences and open to new relationships and new love. It is to be optimistic. It is to believe in the best of other people. That came out weird. To believe. Okay, I hope you know what I'm trying to say there. There is an element of vulnerability within yourself. I think that this is part of why you may have stayed in this relationship up until this point, is because you feel vulnerable. Perhaps if you know, you may be someone who feels especially vulnerable when you're alone. And that may be why this is coming out after the Sanctuary card. Or perhaps you feel kind of raw and vulnerable and susceptible after leaving this unhealthy situation because you need time to heal. You need time to take care of yourself. But I also think that there's an element here of, you know, it's almost like Spirit is saying not to become callous, not to harden your heart after this situation. That there is beauty in vulnerability, in being open to new relationships. It's always good to be aware of all of the facts of a situation. It is always good to protect yourself and to be wary of the intentions of others. But I think that what Spirit is trying to say here with these cards is just to not become jaded or bitter after this whole situation. This happened to teach you a very important lesson. This person came into your life to teach you something. And you may have come into their life to teach them something as well. Whether or not they learn anything, that's up to them. But just remember that there are still really good people out there. And that there are plenty of relationships that you have in your life that are healthy, that are positive. And to not become, what's the word I'm looking for? The word judgmental popped into my mind, but that's not the right word. Pessimistic or cynical, I suppose, when it comes to new people, new relationships, etc. Because while it is always possible to have a negative experience like this again in the future, if you have a closed heart, then you really close yourself off to a lot more than just other people. You know, you close yourself off to possibilities, and you close yourself off to, you know, making meaningful connections with people who mean you well. I hope that makes sense. Let's pull one more from this deck. Okay, we have the Scarab. Creativity. Okay, so I think what that's saying is just that it's time for you to focus on some of your own creative endeavors. It's time to focus on your own life. Take all that energy, take all that effort, take all those resources that you were devoting to this individual who didn't deserve it, and pour it into your own thing. Whatever it is that you're passionate about, something that you want to create, something that you want to manifest and bring into being. That mystery and magic card, all about manifestation. So for the Scarab card to come out here, there may be something that you are very passionate about, or something that an idea that you've been playing around with, something that you want to create, something that you want to do. It could be something new. It could be something that you've been playing around with for a long time. This is your opportunity. Okay, with this newfound freedom, spend it on your passions, spend it on your hobbies, spend it on your creative endeavors. Especially if you were in a situation before where you were made to feel like it was selfish to do such a thing, or when you felt that you never had time because you were always taking care of somebody else, or you're always, you know, caught up in somebody else's stuff. Now's your chance to do something that you enjoy, to express your creativity in a way that's all your own. And that truly is magic. That is what magic is. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a couple more cards. First from the Illuminated Earth Oracle. And if you're interested in any of these decks, I will link them. We have Resilience. Okay, this is all about you. You are resilient. You are strong. You are capable of overcoming anything. Okay? You're capable of overcoming this difficult situation. And I'm thinking most of you probably already know that. I don't know any Libras that aren't strong, honestly. Let's see what else we've got. But yeah, that's just a reminder that you're strong and that you're going to make it through this, and that everything's going to be alright, and that, you know, even if you were in a situation where that person had you convinced that you needed them for something, you don't. And then we have Meander. Wander around, explore things, enjoy the scenery, okay? I dropped it. Take your time. That especially makes sense for those who may have this spontaneous opportunity to travel or to go on some kind of adventure. Take the scenic route. Stop every, couple of miles and look around and enjoy yourself, okay? Enjoy the moment. And work hard to be present in all of your experiences on the day-to-day. Even if you're not going on any spontaneous trips. Take some time to stop, smell the roses, and just enjoy your life. Live your life. Okay? Enjoy things that you didn't have the time or the energy to enjoy before. Even if it's just watching the sunrise or watching the sunset, or, actually being present in the moment in a nice hot bubble bath where you're not worrying about anything, you're not feeling any anxiety, you're not worrying about what somebody else might need from you, you're not worried about, what someone else might expect from you. You're just being in the moment and enjoying it and feeling good and living life, and that is what you need and that is what you deserve, okay? So the Meander card to me is all about being present in the moment and experiencing each moment and everything that it has to offer. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a couple cards from the Faceted Garden. Another beautiful oracle deck that is by the same artist as those last two I just pulled. And I just like the natural elements and how they connect to us, how we are connected to our environment. things of that nature. And also this idea that, like, we are integral parts of our ecosystem. What does that have to do with anything, Maddie, you ask? I don't know. I'm just talking while I shuffle to fill air. Okay, we have the Star, and I see this card as being very similar to the Star in the tarot. Hope, inspiration, also guidance, right? Like looking towards the Northern Star for guidance. I almost see this relating to that Meander card very well, very much as well. Like, take time to go outside at night and look at the stars. Okay? Meditate on it. Just take a lot of time to be still and quiet and calm. And this is going to be a very powerful way for you to be able to tap into your creativity, especially if you do have something creative that you want to accomplish or to explore. Okay? Star. I'm going to pull one more card from this deck, and I think I just want to clarify the Star. See if we can clarify that Star. And what it might mean specifically for you guys in your situation. If nothing else, it's just letting you know that things are going to get better. Things are going up from here. Alright, we have Watershed. Okay. This is about abundance, resources, and support. Okay. You are taken care of. You have a lot of support and resources at your disposal, in the form of people who support you, who love you, in the form of actual resources that are available to you, especially when it comes to your creative endeavors. And there's also an element here of security and safety as well. You're in a good place. And once you cut this unhealthy relationship out of your life, once you lay down those boundaries, I mean, you're really going to be in a good space physically, a good space mentally and emotionally. And it's going to allow you not only a very huge shift in perspective, but also, I think, the ability to start really tapping into your own creativity, your own intuition. It's the difference between doing what you have to do and doing what you want to do. Okay? Really being able to enjoy your life without any anxiety or fear or worries constantly hovering over your head. I mean, yes, there's the day-to-day, got to keep your head above water, got to take care of your responsibilities, but it's the removal of that heaviness that you have carried on your shoulders up until this point within this relationship. Once that's gone, and once you realize that you are no longer obligated to carry that around with you everywhere, then you realize just how much you can do. Just all the different things that you can spend your time on, hobbies that you can indulge in. If you're an artist, art that you can create. Okay? Literally whatever you want. You have the ability and the resources to create for yourself. And even if you don't have like giant stacks of cash just sitting around for you to spend on whatever, that's not necessarily what I mean. But when you are living a life that is aligned with your purpose and that is backed with pure and positive intention, God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, Spirit works with us to help us provide for ourselves the things that we want and the things that we need. Okay? And if Spirit no longer chooses to help you indulge in this negative relationship that we've been talking about, it's because it's not aligned with your highest good. But when it comes to paying attention to your own creative drives and your own motivations and things that will be good for you in your life, Spirit is right there, supporting you, backing you up, making shit possible. Have faith in that. Continue to have faith that things are going to get better and that the possibilities for you really are endless because you are a beast and you can do whatever you want. Alright, Libra. That's what I've got for you guys this week. I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you've stuck around this long, God bless you. Oh my goodness. An hour and 6 minutes. I'll wrap it up. If you liked it, if it resonated, like this video, subscribe, notifications, etc. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.